Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Halftime with Bizzy. Today we have a very special guest joining us, and I can't even believe that we actually got this to happen. And it is all thanks to the kindness of today's guest that this did happen, and that would be Launders, a legend from the Toronto area, a legend in the Counter-Strike community, legendary caster, one half of the dynamic duo of Scrawny, of course. Can't forget about him. I mean, there's just so much to talk about with a guy like Launders, so it was an absolute pleasure having him on today. We talk a little bit about some things that you might have heard if you watched the ESL profile, the YouTube documentary that they put out about Launders, which was a really cool watch. I highly suggest you go and check it out. Launders is a top shelf dude, man. I don't know. I could just sit here and glaze him all day because he's just a super good guy and he's super kind to me. And he has a really cool story to him, and he's gone through a lot of things that, some people wouldn't be able to get through. So, I got to commend the guy as much as I can. I can't thank him enough for doing this. I can't commend him enough and salute him enough for achieving everything he's done. He's really set up his life in a beautiful way and has done amazing things for Counter-Strike history, and it's a really amazing thing to see. Without further ado, we're going to get right into things, but I just wanted to say make sure you guys are liking, commenting, and subscribing. When we had Summit 1G on just a few weeks ago, you guys absolutely, my whole shift at work, my phone was blown up. So much love. I can't thank you guys enough for that. So make sure you continue commenting, and subscribing. We are officially on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're wanting to listen to this while you're driving to work, or you're at work, or maybe you're just doing some house cleaning and you can't watch, well, now you can get it right off your phone and have it in your pocket, and you can listen to it from Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We are going to get right into things, though. Enjoy the episode, everybody. Catch you on the outro. Okay, so the name Launders, there's a lot to talk about when the name is brought up in a conversation, and I'm beyond thrilled to have you on, especially after we just had Summit 1G, which was next to Minley, Gooseman. That was our biggest guest, so this is an absolute honor. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to make an appearance.
Oh, when we did the first take, you didn't say you had Min Lee on, dude. That's insane. I don't even know which one's bigger,
Oh,
Summit or Min Lee. That's crazy.
I mean, Minley's the Mount Rushmore, right? Like,
Yeah,
can't overlook Minley, right?
yeah.
But content creator wise, Summit 1G number one, like that was the second biggest. But Min Lee takes the number one spot regardless, unless I get Gaben, then he takes the number one spot. Min Lee gets demoted to number two. But
That's funny.
yeah, it was
You know
really
what?
cool.
Last summer I ended up going to the hospital because I like passed out on a patio because it was like too hot and I was drinking, and it
Oh,
was super random. Yeah, I know it was a little bit scary. So my girlfriend was there and they cleared out the back patio, and I woke up and I was like in the ambulance, and then the ambulance driver like knew who I was. And then yeah, the ambulance driver knew who I was driving to the hospital. I'm like, I'm totally fine, man. And he's like, yeah, we were just talking about video games. He's like, yo, you know Summit 1G? And I was like, yeah, dude, I know Summit 1G. He's like, no way, you know Summit 1G, bro. That's my favorite streamer.
that's
And he was
insane.
definitely more excited, even knowing who I was, that I knew Summit. That was like an even bigger thing.
Probably the most enjoyable ambulance ride you could possibly have.
Yeah, my only one actually. So hopefully
Well,
the
hopefully
only
the
one.
last one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for making the time to come and make an appearance, man. I think we should get started with talking about your roots and what it was like growing up in Toronto and your introduction into the Counter-Strike scene.
Yeah, so it was a internet cafe culture in Toronto is how it all started here for everyone here. That's why we've got such a big LAN scene, and we that kind of died in the last 4 years or so. As like a lot of like internet cafes couldn't keep in business during the pandemic.
Uh,
So before that, we were having three, four, five LANs a year. We still have Gommels every year, and in the early 2000s it was just it was the incubator. It was a lot of kids just going to internet cafes after school and playing an hour of Counter Strike, playing some deathmatch, playing some Op India, playing some Ice World, hanging out. And while that was all going on, I didn't even really know Counter Strike was an esport. So I only played it as my side game, and I played StarCraft as my main game. And then that's why I named my clothing company after a StarCraft player named Boxer. I only played Counter Strike just in between ladder matches on StarCraft, just for fun. That's how I got started.
Okay, so it was more like kind of a backup game for you at the time when you first got into it.
Yeah, it was kind of like everyone's side game because it was so much easier to play for a few minutes. Like you could log on, play Warcraft 3 mod, or play deathmatch, or do some casual, games. Like I didn't really play any games that were like 5v5 back then because I
Okay.
didn't really even realize that people were taking it that seriously, that there was money going around. And I mean, there wasn't much even back then, but I didn't realize people were playing on teams, scrimming every night, playing on ESEI. I didn't know any of that stuff existed. So I thought StarCraft was like the esport, and then Counter Strike was just like the fun game people played on the side.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
wild, crazy
yeah.
stuff. So when you started playing Counter Strike, I know you had some things going on in your life, and it was something that you got heavily involved with, and I think it's fair to say it slowly took over, and in a good way. But can you kind of describe like the impact that it had on your life at the time, and what it was that really drew you to keep playing the game so frequently?
Yeah, I think it was just a very pure FPS. It was very clean. And I think also it was on mouse and keyboard, which was big for me because I was just addicted to computer games mainly. And again, like a lot of StarCraft. Um, but those two games just came side by side. And I think looking back at the time, I just didn't really play anything else. I played either like Warcraft or Dota, I played StarCraft, or I played Counter Strike, or I played Half Life, Valve or Blizzard. Basically, my two sort of companies I picked from to play games, or I played Diablo. So I wasn't really thinking about like what I enjoyed. I was thinking about these are all the games I know, and they're all great.
Yeah.
And I think like fast forward, I look back and it's like they were great games. They were probably the best games out at the time. But I also was lucky in that I wasn't exposed to anything else. Like I played Call of Duty 1 when it came out on PC and enjoyed it, but I didn't even know people played online. I played the campaign in my room. I mean, I had no idea like there was this big competitive community out there. So these are just the games, it was the allegory of the cave. I was just the guy watching the shadows, but I didn't really know exactly what else was out there. I just knew about Counter-Strike, StarCraft, Warcraft.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that must have been like really mind blowing when you found out that there's like tournaments and esports and money that you can win and all this stuff. But it must have just been crazy when when you first found out about that.
Well, I felt silly because I was 12 years old. I was playing Brood War, and I was trying to actually go pro in Brood War. So I knew
Oh,
about esports, and I loved like competition in that regard. But I thought that playing Brood War, the only games you would see were in Korea, or like the very few, Korea was so good at Brood War that anybody who wasn't from Korea is called a foreigner, even though the game
oh,
is American made. Yeah, that's how
holy.
dominant they were. But in Korea, they had, I think, two channels on TV, like cable TV, that were running 24 hours a day, and they were only showing StarCraft. So in my head, I was like, in Canada, we don't have anything like that. So probably in the whole world, there's no esports. There's just StarCraft in Korea, and we're all just on the outside looking at it. You know, that's
Wow.
that's actually what I thought. So when I would watch VODs, I would see like Boxer in like his like F1 style racing jacket with like logos playing against people in person. I was like, if you become a great StarCraft player, one day you go to Korea and then you can play esports. But I didn't realize it existed anywhere else.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Insane. Whenabouts was it that you kind of took it upon yourself to create a YouTube channel? When did this kind of play in your life?
It was when the arms deal update happened in 2013. So I installed CS:GO, and then CS:GO right when it came out was so bad. And people complain about CS2, but it was nowhere near as bad as CS:GO. That game was really really terrible in the first year. So a lot of people quit, including myself. And I thought Counter Strike was going to die because I thought 1.6 was the best. I didn't like Source, and then CS:GO is just even worse. But I came back a year later. The game was a lot better, and one of my friends started showing me like the esports tournaments that was happening. It was like an EMS one Katowice or something like that. One of the really small auditorium tournaments in the beginning. Um, and then I got into the esports side of it, and then there was a day where the player base jumped from like 20,000 to 40,000, and it
Oh,
was right after the arms deal update. It was like a month after the arms deal update. The player base doubled, and I was like, "This game is going to be huge." I just new at that moment, and I already loved it. I was already looking for doing KZ stuff and looking for a way to make content. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a channel. I think this game's gonna be huge, and then I just kind of mentally placed a bet on that because I could see the growth.
Wow, that's awesome, and you put your bet in the right spot because I mean here we are with CS2, and the game is only growing and growing and growing every year.
People talk about this game like it's dying or something. Just it's just so funny because it feels like everyone's new. Like every single year that passes, it feels like you got a completely brand new player base. Like everyone just forgets what happened last year, or like the things people said 2 years ago, or like how people felt in 2013 when there was 20,000 people online. Everyone thought that was the biggest Counter Strike would ever get, and
Oh
now we
yeah.
have like 1.4 million people online every day, and people say the game is dying. It's kind of like I don't know. You actually can't make it up.
Yeah, what makes me laugh the hardest is like I don't know, let's say for instance when they added the boxes on right beside CT on Dust 2 where you could fast jump up the catwalk. People saw that, "Oh my god, broken game. This is dog shit. You're killing the game and stuff." A week later, nobody's talking about it. Who's complaining about it now? That was months ago. People are so
Yeah.
quick to just start yapping and just, Twitter's just a cesspool of dog shit.
Yeah. Actually, when we were with Zonic, I think we got him to tweet because he tweeted during the beginning of CS:GO, CS:GO will never be bigger than 1.6.
Yeah,
He
I
said
saw
that.
that. I saw
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So I think we were with him. I might be memory hold here. I think when we were with him recently, we got him to tweet CS2 will never be bigger than CS:GO, but totally as a joke this time. Like he doesn't believe it anymore, but we just thought that would be hilarious.
Yeah, for sure. A good nod back to a classic tweet. Was there ever like a figure that you watched or an inspiration that made you look at CS? And like I know that you just said that you took the time and you wanted to make a bet on yourself and Counter Strike and make your own YouTube channel, but did anyone else kind of play a factor in that, or was this just solely 100% you?
It was people from other games. So there was no CS YouTubers I looked up to, but there was Purge from Dota, was somebody who uploaded like daily videos of him just playing a match in Dota, and they were really popular. And I kind of sound like him a little bit, so I was like, watch his videos. Like, he'd probably do that. Like, he was really chill. Looking back, he was definitely a bit better at that specific style than I was, but he was someone I looked up to. Another one was Husky Starcraft, who ended up in a tragic turn of events, deleting his entire YouTube channel. But he used to upload commentary videos similar to like the War Owl, where he would watch a pro match, just cast it himself, and he was so funny, like really really funny, and he would upload like every day. But then his
Oh
voice
wow.
died, and then he had to take a break, and then he didn't come back, and then he ended up deleting his whole channel. It was really strange. But those two people probably had the biggest influence on me and why I started my channel.
Awesome. I wanted to hear more about your experience when you flew out to Los Angeles and started working with Yahoo for their esports team. This like a big eye opener for you in your future and keeping your mindset on your passion with turning Counter Strike into a long term career?
I mean, I think I really didn't want that job, and what happened was in 26, well, in like the first time I went to do interviews, it was that one at ESWC 2015 where I did an interview with Semphis where he said we were all on Adderall at
Oh yeah.
IM Cologne. And and then after that we did a few more sets of interviews, and I would go to these events, and I remember being at Columbus in 2016 doing interviews just as boxer, just as myself for no money. And there was a guy from Yahoo who was there, Dylan, and he played Heroes of the Storm, and Yahoo had sent him because they didn't have a CS:GO person. And every single time I'd see him at these events, he'd say, "You please take my job at Yahoo. Like I really just don't want to do CS anymore, and you're always here doing these interviews freelance. You should come work at Yahoo." And he
Damn.
just wanted to be a writer for Heroes of the Storm. That's what his passion was. So I was like, "Listen, asked him how much he got paid, and then I said I got an idea of how much he got paid. And before that, I told myself I would never work for another person again. I never wanted to be a full time employee anywhere. Um, I After I quit the butcher shop before all this, I was like, I don't want to work for people. I want to be my own boss. I want to like start my own companies. And I was very against the idea, but Travis Gafford when he officially approached me after I asked him. I asked him for what I asked him for. I think I asked him for $95,000 a year or something to be the
Damn.
CS:GO. Yeah, and then he gave me like 110 or something like that.
No
And
shit.
I was like, all right. I thought he
Damn.
was gonna say no to the first, so I was like, I'll throw that out there because I don't think I'll be happy. And then he gave me more than I asked for, and he ended up being the best boss I ever had. He really went to bat for everybody who worked there. Um, Shout out to Travis Gafford. And I ended up basically being the sole CS:GO guy, which was essentially uploading all videos for Yahoo about CS:GO, and that worked extremely well. I had so much fun. I really, really enjoyed the corporate culture at Yahoo. I learned a lot, when it came to email etiquette, organization, talking to company. I mean, it was very, very enriching experience, and I got a lot of experience that I wouldn't have gotten if I had just gone the route of doing everything myself from home. So very grateful for that whole experience for sure.
Yeah, that sounds like for sticking, you want to stick with your gut feeling because when your gut's telling you something, usually it's right. But for you to go in there and one, you're getting more than what you wanted. Two, you're going out to beautiful Los Angeles. And three, you're probably getting to go to all of these events and, yeah, you're doing work, but this is like your passion. Like it's kind of work, but kind of not really because you're already super like in love with it. So like couldn't imagine, man. That must have felt amazing.
That was one of my main things is like the money is I didn't really care about the money in the first place or would have taken the job sooner. I just said I need to have total control over everything that I do. So like no one can tell me what kind of CS videos to upload. And he just agreed to everything and just trusted me totally. So basically there's no way I could say no. And he trusted the right guy. We had like a lot of very successful videos in the short time that we were there.
Right on, man. That's awesome. So, out of the many events that you've worked so far, whether it be from when you were just getting your foot in the door with commentating or massive events such as the final major for CSGO, what would you say out of everything that you've ever done in an arena for esports, what has been your most favorite or most memorable moment?
I think the easy answer is Paris because getting to do a major final is what every caster dreams of doing. And before the major final happened, Connor and I were talking about how many casters in history have done a major final. Like there's only been so many, and a few commentators do most of them. So they'll repeat and do two or three. So the list is not very long. So it's just such an honor to be able to do one. And then it was an honor to be able to do one for Blast, especially as the first one, because they were the ones who took a bet on us back in 2018. And they gave us their first three events. It was like Blast Istanbul, Blast Lisbon, and Blast Copenhagen, I think, back to back. And at our first ever Blast event, they let us cast the grand finals. And that was like
Oh,
James Bardoff and EDK were there. I think Anders was there. It might have been Henry and Sato as well. There was like three pairs of casters going at once. And they came to us before the finals and said, "Hey, do you want to cast the finals?" And we're like, "What? Like, are you talking to the right people? Like, you think I'm Henry or something? I don't know. What are you saying?" And then, since then we've casted like every single one of their grand finals. They really like took a bet on us. Helped us mature as casters. Um, Took a lot of risks and watched us grow. And I think we desperately wanted for the first time we ever cast a major final for it to be Blast, but that's the only major Blast I've ever done in CS:GO, right?
mhm.
So they're going to be doing the Austin one in CS2, but they were pretty averse to even going for a major. So the fact that it was the last one, the fact that it was Blast, and the fact that I got to cast it with Connor, I think it's going to be hard to top that ever again in my career in terms of how special it was to cast that final.
Yeah, and that was also a very important moment for Counter Strike Global Offensive because that was the last major of that era of Counter Strike. So that's a whole another layer of depth of how important that really was. And I'm sure you heard this all the time, and you don't need me to tell you, but you guys are the dynamic duo. You fucking nailed it. You guys, as far as I'm concerned, if there was no other casters and it was just you guys, it would never get boring. You guys always have
That's the best way
something.
to say that.
You guys have the best like I don't know, the stats, the energy, just you guys just talking with each other, joking around, like it's so authentic, dude. It's amazing.
Appreciate. Oh, you just gotta get two Canadians together and it's over. You can't compete.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, were there any events that you didn't enjoy as much, or has everything kind of just been a super enjoyable experience overall?
I think
If it doesn't
there's a
get you in trouble, of course.
there's like was a Sigmund Freud quote where he said like looking back, the most difficult times are going to be the best experiences that you have, and I think like those earlier events were so much harder and messier, and it's ironic. The farther I've gotten along in the casting career, the less I have to cast. So in the beginning, you're casting. Everyone's trying to save money, and events are so small, and Counter Strike's not that profitable. So we come into an event, we have to share a hotel room. We're casting, one half of the day, the other commentator pair casting the other half. Or in the early days, like in the first event I ever casted, me and one other guy, Matt, casted the entire event, like an entire weekend event by ourselves, and didn't get any money. So
Oh
as
wow.
time has passed, there's less tech delays, there's less games you have to cast, there's better hotel rooms, limos from the airport, flying to really cool locations, uh, getting business class, and you're really pampered now. But it was a long grind of many years of not much money, poor conditions, but when I think about them, like I was having so much fun at the time. I mean, even the thought of a company flying me to Europe. The first time I ever went to Europe was because of CS:GO. I went to
Wow.
Paris to cast DreamHack Tour, and I would have done that shit for free, bro. I would have 100% done that shit for free. But I didn't tell them that because I'll take every little bit they'll give me. But when Mark Winter from DreamHack said, "You want to come to Europe?" I was like, "Hell yeah, I do!" Like, um, I don't care. I couldn't. It'd be hard to go back, right? You get lifestyle creep. It's easier now, but it's for a good reason. So we can be more focused and be more prepared and be more relaxed and have fun. It's harder to have fun when you're on like off days, right?
Mhm.
Um, but even though I wouldn't go back, I can't say that those times were too hard or super unfun. I mean, the worst events that I had definitely made for the best stories.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing I wanted to ask you too, like when it's you and Scrawny in the booth, like for you personally, like when you're hearing the reaction of the crowd and you're like seeing everything that's going on and everyone just looks so tiny because you're just looking down at everybody. What's going through your head? I'm sure you're kind of used to it by now, but that's just an insane concept to wrap my head around.
Yeah, sure. But we'll get a little chat with our producer when we're standing up there as we walk up like 25 minutes beforehand, and then we have some time to think about our intro, and then we have a few minutes to look out at the crowd and jam-packed arena, whether it's like a fall final or the Paris Major or whatever, Blast London, whatever it is. You just try to like look at people having fun and see how the energy is flowing in the room, and then you look down and James Banks does his player intros. And then when he's finishing up his intros, me and Connor are doing the intros with him. We're like getting into the moment because when the game starts, when you're casting in a stadium, like a really big one, everybody who's there in the crowd, they're doing half the work for you.
Oh yeah.
All you have to do is just be right there with them. And then you're going to have the words are going to flow, the energy is going to be peak at the perfect times, all the fun moments are going to get even more electric, and it's super easy. But if you're not focused on that and you're not enjoying the fact that you're there, and you're not thinking about the fact that they're all hinging on every single word that you say, then you're not going to have fun, and you're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to enhance the game, which is our number one goal.
Mhm.
So yeah, half of it is just literally looking out there at the sea of ants and just being like, "Damn, this is amazing."
It sounds like it'd be an incredible like mental battle almost. Like you need to be fully locked in by the sounds of it
Yeah,
for something like this.
yeah, and that's why when I say with Blast, they gave us a chance because the first the first grand final we cast at Istanbul, it was Liquid versus Astralis in 2018 in like September, and I remember came in before I was so nervous, and we came into the grand final, and I told myself I'm gonna try so hard not to be biased towards Liquid, so that everyone doesn't get mad at me because the grand finals, there's fans on both sides, and the Straws are the better team, and but I'm obviously North American. I want Liquid to win, and people know that. So I ended up being so biased towards Astralis that by the end of the game, people were tweeting at me, "You need to hide your bias, bro. You can tell so easily that you're an Astralis
No
fan."
way.
And that felt so stupid because I was like, I'm sitting there like the biggest Liquid fanboy ever, Nafla and 1v2. Oh my god, I'm trying to hold it in. And everybody thinks I'm just a huge fan of Astralis after that. And I remember that moment I realized like you just got to be honest because it doesn't matter what you are going to be biased towards. Someone's going to think you're biased. Everyone hears what they want. And lessons like that are the only way that you can learn them is by doing huge matches like that. Where people are so sensitive to the outcome. They're so emotional because it's the grand finals. You really have to get those reps in, and you can, if you're very talented, you won't be nervous. Maybe you've just got it, and you're not going to be nervous for long. For me, I'm not a talented commentator, and I was nervous for 7 years probably.
Wow.
Before I really got comfortable in front of an audience, and I never knew I wasn't nervous because I would never tell myself that. I would lie to myself, but I only realize now that I am comfortable what it really means, where I can be funny in a stadium, where I'm not thinking about how good I'm going to perform when I walk on stage. Now I just think about how much fun I'm going to have. It's like a different mindset, but it is nerve wracking whether or not you want to admit it to yourself.
Yeah, that sounds like an incredible task, a lot of pressure on the shoulders. Like even if you're, used to it and stuff and you do it all the time, I'm sure there's still in the back of your head maybe just like a little bit of, like holy shit, like it's incredible, dude. Like I went to Copenhagen for my first that's the first time I ever went to Europe and it was for the CS2 major back in March.
Oh
And
shit! Okay.
yeah, and I got a funny story I'll tell you in a minute, but tis like, I've been watching Counter-Strike esports for, just about 10 years now since I got into it. And when you see it on screen, it's amazing. When you're in the crowd, almost right up at the front where the stage is, electric, dude. Unfriggin' believable experience. And I went to meet up with Ito Miguel because I emailed Gabe Newell and then he CC'd me with Ito Miguel. Long story short, I ended up meeting with him at the Royal Arena and he took me up to the VIP suite and I saw you there, but I was like, shit, dude, I can't go and approach him while he's talking to all these people. So
Wow.
that's why I'm super glad that we have you on here today too, because and I think it's better too because back then I had the idea of doing this podcast thing, but I didn't really have the experience yet. I didn't have any guests yet. I didn't even have the YouTube channel. It was just a thought in my mind that I would think about all the time. So I'm glad we finally now have gotten here rather than back then and maybe you were one of the first guests on and I was like shit. So
What did you email to Gabe? What'd you
I
say?
I don't know. I was just having a weird day, and I'm just like, damn, dude. Like we're playing CS2, and I remember how CS:GO felt when I first started playing, and now it's CS2, and like I'm so stoked. I'm just gonna for some reason fire off an email to this guy for no fucking reason. Well, he messaged me back I think the following day, and he was just like, I sent him a YouTube video I made. It was like, hey, what do you think about this video? Like I don't even know why the fuck I ever did this, but he responded with my email with a link to another video, not the one I sent him. He's like, hey, I'm watching this one right now. What are your thoughts on CS2? I'm like, so you've
Wow.
not only watched one of my videos, but you found yourself on another one, and now you're asking me, some random idiot from Oshawa, what I think about like your game? Like what? It's fucking
That's
crazy.
so cool. I
Yeah.
mean, that's closer than anybody else in CS has gotten to Gabe. So congrats.
Yeah, I got some plans. I don't know how it's gonna work, but I have thrown it out there of something that I want to do. I don't know if it'll work though, but maybe one
Go
day.
for it. That's how you got here, right?
Yeah,
Going for it.
yeah, exactly. But back to you, when the name Launders comes into a conversation, it's not very long after that the name Scrawny is also brought into the conversation as well. So I kind of wanted to hear more about the story of when you guys first met and what drew you guys to get so close over the years, because it seems to me and many other people in the community, You guys are actually true friends, and yeah, this is work and business, but like you guys are actually friends. This isn't like a forced work kind of opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've always said that it's it's like it's a privilege to be able to be friends with people you work with, because you don't have to be friends to work with people. Um, and when me and Connor started casting together, I think what happened was I was watching him cast like ESEA Advanced on his stream to like 20 viewers, but he was casting so well. I was like, whoa, this guy, someone's got to cast with him, or he's gonna take off. And then there was Northern Arena in Montreal. That was the first time I met him in person. I was like, oh, whoa, they found Connor. And then I got him to cast with us in the grand finals of that event. I was
Oh
casting
yeah.
with Van Silly at the time, and I really loved casting with Van Silly as well, for sure. But with with Connor after that, we decided that we're gonna partner up and become a duo. And I I think I saw a guy I liked and respected. But first and foremost, I thought he was going to be a great commentator, and then we ended up becoming great friends. I think like uh, again, I work with so many people that I consider my friends, but the reason why I ended up with Connor is because like because I believe in him as a commentator. Like he was born to do this, and I just feel very like lucky that we're also great friends, and we've really been through everything together at this point. People really have no idea how many conversations, how many countries we've had, how many late nights, how many like events that we've been to, how much stuff has happened around us that we've had to deal with, a lot of things privately in our professional careers. um, and throughout all that, like, I mean, we've seen other commentator duos break up. We've seen other people cast with other people, and that's totally fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. That happens. That's life. But I just feel really lucky that we've been able to just become closer and closer throughout all of that, instead of grow apart or grow to just work together as professionals. So um, yeah, yeah.
The people listening can rest assured that the dynamic duo is not going anywhere anytime soon. Then.
No, yeah, we're not. I mean, the funny part is that when we come home from events, we barely talk to each other. Like we both watch UFC, so sometimes we'll send
Oh.
each other like UFC clips and stuff like that. Um, like I just sent Connor a video of Conor McGregor yelling about the moon.
Oh my god, dude.
Did you see that?
I opened up my Twitter this morning. I'm like, what is he freaking out about?
so we send each other shit like that. And he's been streaming Elden Ring because I've been trying to get him to play it for so long. And then like we haven't played Counter Strike together a single time this month or anything like that. So like,
Oh.
but what happens is I think it actually works out amazingly well. Where, and to be fair, I'm not just gaming with lots of people. I just don't game that much anymore. I have too much stuff going on. But when we go to events, we have so much to talk about because we don't like consistently catch up with each other every day. So I feel like it actually adds to our longevity, like the time apart, like on not being online together all the time when we're at home. So we basically never get on each other's backs about anything. We always have so much stuff to talk about when we meet up at events. So I think that's helped keep our like relationship as commentators super healthy, because even as JL talked about with Navi, like they're growing to the point where they're hating each other, saying that like, partially in jest. But that's just what happens when you're on the road for like weeks and months at a time with people, even people you love, even if you're super chill normally. The travel days, the constant work, the new locations, the hotel rooms, it adds up and it gets to you, and it you start to miss home, you start to miss like comforts, you need space, and I think that like being at home and just like casually talking to each other once in a while is like actually the best thing that we do.
Yeah, for sure. Because I could imagine how, even as much as so much as you like somebody, if you're just constantly around them, like you just said, everybody needs their space and stuff, and I feel like that downtime is really important. And before you guys know it, you'll be back, doing work together and casting again. So it's important to also focus on yourself and like your individual, like your personal life, I guess too.
Mhm. And like I have just like so many side projects. I mean, even when I come home, I don't just I chill for sure. Like I chill. I just got a new puppy, and my girlfriend who I just moved in with, like we go for walks every day. We spend a lot of time outside. I play casually some games and stuff like that. But then I also have Boxer. I also have the next Launders Land that I'm planning. I also have uh like the sponsor stuff to work on the YouTube channel. So I pretty much do something all the time, and that just keeps me occupied, like in between events.
Yeah, for sure, and it makes sense too. Gaming is probably the last thing that is on the mind when you got business like all over the place and sponsors and Launders Land. I'm sure is an absolute insane workload to try to deal with and get that all situated. So
I mean, I'm still like such a gamer, and I think if if I had all the hours in the day, I'd just be playing TFT like 24 hours a day. I love that game. I'd be playing Counter Strike all the time as well. I just I'm always just thinking about like what to do next, and it's just hard to play as many games now while also doing other projects. And I find that like my mind will, turn on itself if I don't have other work things to keep myself occupied, if I feel like I'm just stagnating a bit. So, as much as I would love to play games, I'm not sad about it because I feel like I feel much more purpose every single day, instead of just waiting for the next event.
yeah, I kind of get the same sort of feeling. I don't have necessarily anywhere close as the kind of workload you have, but I have a lot of things that I do, to try to build up my brands and stuff too. And I'm pretty much, if I'm not at work, I'm right here and I'm working on a project, probably playing a little bit of CS on the weekends. For the most part, I've always got stuff I'm editing and designs I'm coming up with and stuff. And when I'm not doing anything like that and I'm just sitting around, like I kind of feel like guilty almost. I'm just like, why am I just sitting around not doing anything? So I kind of
Yeah.
get where you're coming from there. So I can't tell you how much I can commend you for sticking to your passion when you quit your job and created, your YouTube channel, which eventually spiraled into everything that you have a hand in doing today. From having a life with many moving parts, such as living in the women's shelter and having the Big Brother program with Michael, to working all of the different jobs that you talked about in that ESL profile, unbelievable. And I don't understand how a human is able to lock in that hard. And I can't commend you enough. But I just wanted to ask you, did you ever foresee a future like you have for yourself now? And did you ever have time, like a hard time, kind of staying motivated through all of this?
No, never. I always like this is just a message for everyone. Like you hear athletes like and musicians and things like that when they get awards, they always just tell you like always believe in yourself. And it's such trite advice, and it's like when someone tells you to be yourself and you're like, what does that mean? When you're young, it's hard to understand. But the reality is that's the right advice, and you can only really see it when you get there, I think. But believing in yourself is like the 100% most important thing. And I have something that's just like etch a sketched into my brain where I was when I started my YouTube channel, I bought a whiteboard and I had a marker and I was doing tallies for every single subscriber I got.
Oh,
And I remember like
wow.
I'd go into the emails and like look at everyone's channels and see like who subscribed to me, and I would learn everything about them. And then there was a point where I was getting like a lot of traction from Reddit for my YouTube videos, and I couldn't now follow every single subscriber, right? Because it goes tens to hundreds to thousands really fast. And when I started to get the momentum, I looked and I had my whiteboard that I bought, and it was just full. And I just never thought it would be full that fast. And I said, I'm going to look back on this moment where I was sitting there in my mom's apartment that I lived in since, 2006, maybe 2003 even. And I said, I'm going to remember this moment when I'm successful. And I can still remember me holding that whiteboard and looking at it with
Wow.
just like a few hundred subscribers, seeing some success after uploading on Reddit. And I just thought, well, I just keep doing this and it keeps working. Eventually I'll get there. Just got to believe. So yeah, I still remember that. And I honestly didn't since then, of course, there are so many things that I'm so good at now that I couldn't imagine having to learn them, right? We all go through stuff like that. But the truth is you don't have to learn it all at once. It just happens slowly. And then you look back and you've gained all these skills. So it just comes. But the really important thing is you just wake up and you just believe in what you're doing. And and then it just gets bigger. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. And a huge thing too is like I think it's important for everybody to just find one single thing that inspires them or motivates them and just like really just focus on that and try to apply that to your personal life like as much as you can.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. You're not somebody who struggles to start things, so you're a lot like me. Most people just don't even start things. So it's not to say you won't fail starting things. You'll fail all the time,
Oh yeah. Oh
but
yeah.
all you just have to do is just like keep trying new stuff. That's all. So
Yeah.
yeah,
My big thing is like try everything in the world and the worst thing that could happen is you failed and then you say at least I gave it a shot. It's better than just sitting there, oh, I should try this, I should try that, and then you just never. I know people. I was heavily into skateboarding. I had a skateboard company I ran for a few years back just before COVID started, and I got to meet a lot of people in the local skateboarding community and in the states and stuff. And I can't tell you how many people that were just like, "Oh my god, like I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to try this, I want to go here." And it's like why not? Like just try.
yeah,
Like that's all
yeah.
you
Just
have to
go.
do. I wanted to switch over to the next topic. I only have a couple questions left. I hope you're not pressed for time or anything. I can kind of speed it up.
I'm good.
Okay. I wanted to touch base with Boxer Movement. Of course, you're the founder of it, and this is your clothing brand. And you also did your first Launders Land event in April of this year. I wanted to kind of get you to elaborate more on your entrepreneurial side of your career outside of casting and all of that.
hmm I think with Launders Land, it started because of my sponsor rivalry based out of Toronto, and they were like, "What do you kind of want to do? What do you want to do that we can, take advantage of the fact that we have a sponsorship in the city that you're in? Like that's a really cool thing." And I was like, "I want to do a LAN event. Like I want to bring back LAN events because we've had 4 years without them. All these companies have died, and if we make a LAN event, people will come." I said, "We do it, people will come. So let's do it." So it was as simple as that. Just the idea of getting the LAN scene going because that creates the undercurrent of players that end up getting to the tier one, getting to the HLTV top 20, getting to majors, getting us more RMR spots, our regional spots. And without that, I mean, it's not going to happen. So I said, let's run the events. People will come. It's so fun. And I think the single best experience I've ever had playing Counter Strike is at LAN. It's not online. It's not casting any matches. It's playing a match with my friends at a local LAN. That's the most fun playing that I'll ever have. I'm sure of it. So I want everyone to have those memories. And there's so many people who have grown up playing Counter Strike in the last 4 years, online purely. I had people coming to me at Launders Land and said, "Hey, is it okay if we talk smack to the other team?" And I was like, "Please, dude, like, please talk smack to the other team. Like, don't even. I can't believe it asked me that." And that's because they were 16 years old. They were already playing Counter Strike. They didn't go to a LAN yet. Then everything went online. Then 4 years passed, and suddenly their prime years of their CS:GO sort of youth are gone. They didn't go to a single LAN, and now they don't even know you can talk shit to people at LAN in person. And I'm like, we need to get everyone those experience,
With
to be able to,
limitations.
with some limitations. Yeah, just don't throw any bottles,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, go ahead. And and with Boxer, that's something I started because before I had done any, like in university, I worked at Armani Exchange in Eaton Center, and I was just doing retail. And I started a clothing company called Karma Clo. And when I started doing CS, YouTube and stuff, I always knew I was going to do like merchandise in some way. So I just like really enjoy that, like doing merchandise, designing, logo design. So I made Boxer, and I also knew I had to make another company that wasn't me because otherwise it'd be Launders Gaming, and who's going to buy those shirts? So I made Boxer uh, to be its own entity, and now it's become the Boxer Movement Club, which is a callback to why I started my YouTube channel, which is like all the KZ tutorials, all the movement tutorials.
That's awesome. So it kind of sums up like your past, and then this is you kind of like carrying the torch for your older self, sort of thing, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, and I still love movement as a part of the game more than the game itself, to be honest. So we still got like lots of plans to make like a movement training map in CS2. I really want to try to make CS2 KZ popular. I really want to, yeah, everything movement related. Like a lot of my friends that I still talk to are all people from KZ servers from CS:GO back in the day. So I just love movement. I just that's the reason I'm here, not the base game. I played first 2,000 hours of CS was just KZ servers. I didn't even play any 5v5 in CS:GO. So um, yeah, it's not even like sort of nostalgic. It's something I still very much identify with, that I still love.
Right on. So, what is next for the Launders legacy besides Launders Land 2? Do you have anything else that you're working on that you kind of want to share with people, or any goals that you might have set for 2025 that's coming up in just a couple months?
Yeah, I want to make like the dream hack in North America. So I want it to
Oh,
be multi-game. So I think that the peak experience is playing a LAN with your friends in Counter Strike. But it's any game. It's any game. It's playing LAN with your friends, right? That's the core of it. And I have met, when I met Summit, I met him at DreamHack Austin. When I met Mango, I met him at DreamHack Austin. When I met oh man, I can't even, like the amount of people I've met from other games that I would have never met if not for DreamHack. I would need to take off my shoes to count. Like it's so many relationships that I've, meeting Frodan in China or meeting like um, Chris Puckett or just all the cross pollination from other games has like really enriched my last 10 years as a personality in this game, just as a person enjoying gaming. Um, and I want to be able to do something like that for North America, just like running the local LAN, but just expand it to multiple games. Then people can meet each other from other games, and bring in talent from other games, can bring in pro players from other games, and do exactly what DreamHack has done, but with a focus on Canada. So that'll be the 2025 vision.
I love that, man. And, maybe it's just my passion for being a Canadian, but like, I love this country and I feel like all of the stuff happens in America and all of the other cool events happen in Europe. Like, Canada needs its own thing. So I love that vision. And if there's anything I could do to support that and help that, I'm fucking right there, because we need some stuff like this happening, like, big time, because we don't have it.
Yeah,
When's the last time Counter-Strike came to NA was Boston 2018, I think.
yeah, that was the last major. I can't think of a single other tournament besides just like Dallas that happens. Blast Washington in 2013. Canada, nothing. Like
Nothing.
nothing.
So
So
Launders is going to change that. New meta.
yeah, yeah, exactly. We got enough people. Like
Oh
people
god,
will
yeah.
come. We got a big scene. We just don't have the events, so we can do it for sure.
And if we get a guy like Shroud, who has incredible history with CS:GO, also from Toronto, Shroud,
Yo,
come in, come
yeah,
on, swing in and help us out.
100%. Yeah, he lives in California now, but if he could,
Yeah,
that'd be great.
yeah, that'd be dope. That'd be dope. But I'm incredibly honored to have you on the podcast, dude. And I seriously cannot thank you enough for everything you do for Counter Strike and the community, and just in general. Like, I really fuck with you, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this. Um,
Appreciate it. Okay, busy. Great questions.
Thank you. But before we sign off, I like to I've been getting this sometimes. I give the Sean Evans treatment to the guests around the outro. So if there's anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to, or if there's a message you want to share to the people listening, the floor is yours, and you can close out the episode.
Yeah. Well, I would say I do love hot sauce. First of all, shout out to Sean Evans. You know, however you spend your next 8 hours, 8 hours will pass. So just remember that.
That I like that. I have not heard that quote before.
It's
Amazing.
me. There's no. Yeah, it's just straight from me.
Love it. Thank you guys all for checking out today's episode. I can't thank you guys enough. This has been an incredible 6-month journey so far, and I can't even wait to show you guys what's coming in 2025. Today was all about Launders, and it was an absolute pleasure getting to hear from his point of view, you know, his whole story and his career and everything he's been a part of and his visions for 2025. Top shelf dude, like I said in the intro. I will be popping up at Launders Land too. The first Launders Land did really well, so I think the second Launders Land is definitely going to follow in that upwards trajectory, and I hope to see some of you guys there. Shout out to the community, shout out to Launders, shout out to Scrawny too. If you're watching this, Scrawny, hit the DMs, bro. Links in the description. Other than that, that's pretty much it, man. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you guys on the next episode. Till next time, everybody. Much love.